Welcome to Truth and Company Boxing Podcast for another segment of 20 random questions. I'm your host, John the Truth Dioria, and today's guest is undefeated professional boxer and current WBC USA silver middleweight champion, Francis Frank the Tank Hogan. How you doing?
How's it going?
I appreciate you taking time to come on.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to be on.
So I heard there's some exciting news going on with your career right now. Your fans might not know, but there is a thing out there that if a lot of the boxing fans aren't aware of it, this is only the second season. It's called the Combat League, which is an interesting concept of boxing because when you think of boxing, it's not a team sport, but the Combat League kind of changes that a little bit into a team sport, and you are actually part of the second season. So now what team are you actually on?
So Boston came up with a team. It's called the Boston Butchers, and I'm fighting at light heavyweight, 175.
Okay, and now explain to the fans as much as you can a little bit what the Combat League is.
So the Combat League is a team from a city. So like Atlanta has a team, Philly has a team, LA has a team, not every city has a team yet. I'm sure there at some point will be because it's kind of still new. This is only the second season, but there's a guy and female in each weight class, and that person only fights one round. And that's what makes it a team thing because it's whatever team wins more rounds comes out on top and wins the night.
No, isn't there do you guys fight 12 rounds or 16 rounds, different people, something like that, right?
So everybody just fights one round, and then there'll be like a money round, I believe. And each team will not pick on their own because you got to go back and forth with each other. Like I'm pretty sure whoever's running the each team will go back and forth, and they'll pick a round or pick one round where there'll be a one weight class, and those people will fight again to see what team is dominant.
And how many boxers are on a team?
I believe 24.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
And not only 24, you got to keep in mind, we have two backups for each weight class, just in case, I get cut. And then next thing you know, I'm not going to be able to go back in for the next round if they pull me as the money round. So we got to throw another guy in there.
And like you said, now it's one round. So if some of these guys are used to being slow starters and they come out with their jab and stuff, that's not going to work. You got to throw from the door. This is almost like an amateur round, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's even harder than an amateur round, you can't come out. There's no time to think. There's no time to warm up or get used to, all right, I felt him out that round. All right, well, now the round's over and you lost. So you got to go out and you got to be prepared for whatever he's coming at you with. You got to have something for him. And whatever you're going at him with, you got to keep in mind, he's got something for you too.
So now your team hasn't actually fought yet, right?
No, we have not fought it yet. No.
So now, do you guys meet ahead of time? Have you met all the boxers on your team? Do you know everybody, things like that? Do you guys train together at all, or?
Yeah, so we train together a couple times a week. We'll get together. We just did a sparring session yesterday, and we tried to simulate as much as possible as we would fight. So we set up the chairs next to the rings and all that stuff, and the fighters would line up, and right after another, you're in and out. So we did that. I mean, I know most of the fighters anyways, just from fighting over the years, some of them I've come up with, and some of them are a little older than me, so they came up with the next generation. But I know them anyways, between sparring. If I haven't sparred them, then we've somewhere along the line have crossed paths, trained together, maybe been at fights together.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody go check out, I believe it's thecombatleague.com. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
Okay. Everybody go check that out. You can find more information about the teams, when the shows are on, the link. I know it's pretty cheap to pay for a monthly fee to watch it. Definitely check it out and support all these guys, man. There's teams all over the United States. This is the second season. It's a cool concept. It keeps fighters active for when they're so they're not just sitting around waiting for their next fight, and then that way they're sharp. And and some of them it teaches to get out there and just and have to fight, man, and not take time to feel people out all the time and waste time in the ring. So, I mean, you can definitely learn a lot from it. And I think the fans, it's something the fans are going to enjoy once they, it becomes a bigger concept and they can figure out where they can watch it and become a fan of certain teams.
Yeah. So I do got to say, if you want to go check out the link or whatnot, you can go on my Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, any of that. It's all Francis_Hogan_. The links are in my bio, and use code Hogan, HOGAN. And that way I'll get, it'll let the people know that like people are going to watch through me and check it out because of me. So that way it helps me in the end. So.
Nice. Good. I'm glad that you said that because I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know that fighters could do that. So that's pretty cool as well. All right. One more thing before we start the 20 random questions. Now, the world boxing fans might not know this. And like I said off air, this might be normal to you and the people that live in Boston. But explain to me what a Southie is.
So there's like East Boston, South Boston. So South Boston is Southie. So that's what we say around here anyways. And if you live in Southie, I guess you're a Southie. So that's what it is. When you first said it to me originally, I was like, what? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But maybe that's just the people outside of Boston. Maybe that's what we call you guys. I don't know. But I heard it from some other people. And I saw it in an interview somewhere. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to bring it up because the world boxing fans, if they ever hear it, they're not going to have an idea what a Southie is.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to these random 20 questions. So without getting into the boxing or any of that yet, I just want to know, question one, tell me about your background and your upbringing a little bit as far as like where you were brought up, with your parents, siblings, things like that, how you were brought up.
So I got two sisters. I got a younger brother. We grew up in Weymouth. So Southie is just way too expensive nowadays. Houses are going for like millions of dollars over there. So we moved to Weymouth. I grew up in Weymouth. I just recently, 2 years ago, actually, I moved out. I live in Walpole now, but when I was a kid, I started boxing. My brother started boxing.
Wait, don't get to the boxing yet. I just want to know kind of your upbringing a little bit.
What are you looking for? I mean,
just kind of like you just said, where you were from, where you grew up, your siblings, things like that. If that's all about your upbringing, then we'll get to the next question.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was all right coming up as a young kid, I was part of the generation still of like not really having the whole technology thing. It started coming on as I was getting older, but so we were the kids still going outside, playing in the mud, all that stuff,
Okay. All right, so question two, how did you get involved in the sport of boxing?
So I always liked boxing as a young kid anyways, because we used to watch it on TV, like me, my dad, my brother. And then one of my buddies, I was like 9 or 10, right around there. I found out he was going to a gym in Hyde Park called Gentleman's Gym. So I started going with him, and then, I don't know, it just kind of took off from there. I mean, my generation's also part of that whole everybody gets a trophy, even if you lose. And I wasn't really like that. I didn't like that shit. So like I played baseball, basketball. I even started wrestling for a little while. And I don't know, I just didn't like we'd lose and kids are happy they're getting a trophy. I'm fucking throwing the trophy in the trash before I get home. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, this sucks. Like, I'm practicing at home. I'm practicing with other people. And you also wouldn't get put into positions because everybody's got to play a certain position. I'm like, all right, well, if I throw the best and I'm the best pitcher, why am I not out there closing out every single night? I started boxing and I realized real fast, it's what you put into it, you get out of it. And I mean, I always liked to fight when I was a young kid anyways, outside. So it kind of helped me in my own favor. Instead of fighting outside in the street, go to the gym, train, get to fight. And I started building fights. I was fighting every weekend. I had 219 amateur fights as a young kid. So
wow, that's impressive, man. A lot of people in the United States don't have that many amateur fights. It's a lot of the guys overseas that are usually hitting in the 200s.
Yeah. And my big thing was I wasn't really worried about the winning. It wasn't about winning. It was about getting out there and seeing different styles, heights, how people fought. Like, I've been in there with everybody. I've been in there with people from Europe. I've been in there with people from Ireland, Australia. Like, so Mexico, the Dominican Republic, like we've had guys fly up just to spar, like train with us. Like, it's about getting different looks and stuff like that. I mean, there's no way you're going to build and be able to be a world champion if you don't fight everybody. So
Exactly. Now you just briefly mentioned your brother got into boxing too. Is he a pro?
So my younger brother ended up going in the Marines right out of high school. So he's in the Marines right now, but he's only 19, so he's still young. But he had a lot of fights too. He almost hit like 200 right around there, amateur fights. And personally, we do have different fighting styles, and I got to be one of the hardest punchers around here anyways. I mean, on the East Coast, I'd even give it. But my brother didn't punch as hard as me. He was a lot better at the boxing itself. Like, you couldn't hit him, and he'd hit and move, hit, move, hit, move, and he would outthink people. So hopefully when he gets out of the Marines, he wants to take a crack at it. And I'm already somewhere with the boxing, so hopefully I give him a little jump start, you know?
Nice. Okay. Question 3. What boxers have inspired you in your career?
Say like, well, one of them that I really have looked up to that is my trainer now is Mark DeLuca. I always like watching him when I was a young kid fighting. But style wise, I'd say I always like Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler. I even liked Tommy Morrison. I don't know. I guess that's why I have the mullet actually. But I like Mark Breland, like guys like that. Like, I don't know, guys that had good jabs, and even like Tommy Hearns could crack, man. Like, if he hit you the right way, you're going to sleep. Marvin Hagler put you to sleep. Tommy Morrison put you to sleep. You know, like I like Mark Breland's jab. I mean, I don't know. I take little things away from all fighters, but those are the fighters that I really look up to. You know.
Okay. Now, the way you talk, you sound like you're a student of the game. Do you consider yourself a student in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely watch all the fighters. I like watching styles. I mean, I more watch fights for styles. Like, if I'm in the gym with Mark and Mark's trying to teach me something or show me do something different in the ring or something, and I want to work on something, like I'll look up fighters that do that like perfectly, that are really good at that. So that's how I'll study, and that's how I like watching the game and stuff like that. I'm not really a big person into like when someone's like, "Oh, Ryan Garcia's fighting Tank Davis." I'm like, I don't really like care for that. I don't know. I do watch them. I mean, I like Tank Davis, but I don't go out like watching every single fight, you know, coming on TV stuff. I like looking up fights and rewatching them and be able to run them back.
Okay. All right. Question 4. What is something that your boxing fans don't know about you?
I'm a certified welder, so I do that. I work for Road Plates part time. I was in the iron workers. I could always go back. So I know how to weld, like pretty much anything really. I can show up on jobs, weld anywhere. I do a lot of welding for Road Plates now.
Okay. All right. Question 5. Who's the one boxer, alive or dead, that you'd want to sit down and have a conversation with if you could?
Great question. I always wanted to meet Marvin Hagler, and I never got to, so I'd say him.
Okay. Question 6. What's something that you're very passionate about besides boxing?
Work, maybe, I'd say. Really? Because if I don't make money, I don't have money coming in, I can't go to the gym every day, twice a day. So, and sleep. I like sleeping and food. I'm a big eater. That's one of my only problems actually, is eating.
Okay. All right. Question 7. Do you have any traditions in your family?
No, I don't think so. No real traditions. No.
Okay. All right. Question 8. Who are some of the bigger name boxers that you've sparred with?
I've sparred with Carlos Gongora. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I know the name.
He's actually the hardest puncher I've sparred with too. He's hit me and he almost has put me out a couple times. I've hung in there, but man, he could crack. When I was younger, I was sparring him, and that made me get a lot better. I don't know, Mark DeLuca. We have there's so many guys, man. I can't even keep track of names. There's a lot of not even just sparring, anyways. Just guys that come up and train with us that are world champions. TJ Donahue, he lives in Australia now. Show up at gyms, there'll be world champions there. Boo Boo Andre, Demetrius Boo Boo Andre. I spar with him. I can't really think of anybody else.
Okay, no, that's okay. All right, question 9. Can you tell me an interesting story so far out of your boxing career?
Yeah. I guess it'd be interesting and crazy. So when COVID was going on, there was no fights around here. Like, I couldn't find fights anywhere in the United States. There was no gyms open up here, so we were training all together still. Everybody that was on the team, we went to this garage at a house. We called it the fighter's house. And we'd all work out still, did all the same workouts. So we all stayed in shape. So we kind of like had an edge on everybody because there was a lot of fighters that just either quit or took time off. And we ended up finding out down in the Dominican Republic, in like the middle of the Dominican Republic. So it's not the nice area. They were running shows. So we were all like, fuck it. Like, so I hopped on the card. We flew down. We were down there for a week. And I fought. And I mean, I was probably the only Caucasian male there with red hair and curly hair and a red beard, you know, and I'm walking around with a shirt off. So everyone's like, where the fuck did this kid come from? And if I fight and I end up knocking this dude out that's like a local. And I remember getting out of the ring and some lady was standing there. She had to have been in her like 20s and she had a baby in her hands. I was like, what the hell's going on? She was like, you take my baby, bring it back to the United States. I was like, no, I'm all set. I was like, I gotta go. So that was crazy. I fought at the Barclays Center. That was pretty cool. That was my first pro fight right before COVID, actually. And that was a cool experience, I'd say. That was pretty crazy too, actually.
Okay. All right. Question 10. Why do you box?
Love to be a world champion someday. That's really the goal right now. A unified world champion. I always said world champion when I was younger. I always want to be a world champion. But I'm at the point now, like, where I'm 23 years old. I'm 16-0. I got 14 knockouts. I mean, the growing is, like, insane. I look back, like, 3 months ago. Me right now, I'd get in the ring with myself 3 months ago. I'd knock myself out. Like, the learning is crazy. Like, I'm sucking everything in like a sponge when I'm training. So, I mean, I guess I'd say unified world champion is why I box. I love it. I love also getting in the ring. I love entertaining. Like, I do crazy weigh-in outfits. I love doing that stuff. That's the one time I get to, like, have fun. Everything else is, like, hard. I train hard. I sleep hard. Like, I make sure I eat the right way. Like, eating's hard, like, you know? So, like, that's the one time I get where, like, I get to have fun. I get to, like, hear that bell ring, and it's like, it's only me in there now. Like, everything I did might have been with 3 or 4 other people in the gym is now not there. They're not gonna fight for me. My trainers aren't gonna fight for me. They're gonna stand there in the corner, you know, and watch what I'm doing. They did everything they could. So I guess just the fighting in general too. I love that feeling. I don't know. It's like this. It's a special kind of adrenaline rush to me. Like,
okay. Speaking of your creative weigh-in outfits, for people that haven't seen your weigh-ins, how did this all start that you just came out wearing these different outfits?
I mean, it wasn't, people will like comment and stuff and be like, oh, it's for clout and all this stuff. But like, I mean, it was just really for the fun of it at first. I didn't really think anything of it. So I was on Instagram or something, and I get like ads all the time for like sometimes skincare, sometimes boots or shoes stuff. And I got something for like custom clothing. So I was like, custom clothing. And I just like, we were talking about the next day in the gym, me, Mark, and a couple other guys. This dude, Mikey Stacks, I'll never forget it. Me, Mark, Mikey Stacks. We're in the gym, and we just finished working out. And they were like, oh, you should do something like, because I had the mullet kind of coming in, and I was doing the beard. And they're like, oh, you should do something like the old WWE wrestlers, like the clothing or stuff. So I started making shirts that were like, kind of like throwback like shirts, like colors and stuff like that. And then I found a website that made Speedos. So I made a light blue Speedo that said tank time on it right across my crotch. And I don't know, from there it just like I was like, oh, like people like couldn't believe that I did that. So I just every fight I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And now I'm doing it. And I mean, it does help, you know, like I fought at the Aganis Arena and 360 Promotions posted the weigh-in outfit. I did the Borat weigh-in outfit and it got like 3 million views when I had my last Instagram. So now, of course, I'm trying to build my new Instagram up because the other one got hacked, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm sure it'll come around, you know, like people think it's funny. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I was just doing it from the beginning as a joke, but
either way, it's great self-promotion and it's obviously working.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I thought about it. Like, you can't just be a good fighter nowadays. Like, you can't be a great fighter nowadays. No one's gonna know who you are. Like, people need like excitement out of the ring. We have cell phones. Like, why not take advantage of social media? If it's there, why not use it? You know. And I'm 23 years old. Like, it's very easy for me to use. I don't need to do it. I can do it all on my own.
All right, question 11. If the mayor of your city was willing to name something after you, what would you want named after you in the city?
That's a great question. I don't know. Wow. Probably a beach, honestly.
Okay.
It's out of left field, I guess. But unless they were going to have a rec center or something put up, that'd be pretty cool to have that.
Okay. All right, question 12. If you got into a street fight with 3 guys, what 2 East Coast boxers would you choose to be on your side to fight with?
I definitely have to choose Mark DeLuca. And who's another one? Oh, this is tricky. I probably have Michael Valentine there, bling bling. Just for the fun of it. He's from Rhode Island.
All right. Question 13. If you were to put out fake news on yourself to mess with social media and your boxing fans, what kind of story would you put out on yourself?
Probably tell them I'm moving to Europe and I'm done boxing. And I'm going to have 20 kids.
Okay. All right, question 14. Who are some of the musical artists that you listen to when you train?
When I'm training, I mean, just in general, I listen to pretty much everything. I listen to rock, classic rock, rap, old rap, country. I love country music. I usually just let Mark or someone put the music on, but we usually listen to like Dominican and Mexican kind of style music. Something that like helps you move around in the ring, you know.
Okay. All right, question 15. What is your proudest moment out of your boxing career so far?
Probably my last fight, I'd say. It went 8 rounds. I know I won every round. I think I looked the best. I looked sharp. I looked like a world-class fighter, and I won the WBC belt. So,
okay. Let's see. Question 16. If you had to spend 30 days in a jail cell, what comedian would you choose to be your cellmate?
Why can't I think of his name right now? I think it's Chris something. No, Dave Chappelle. That's it. Yeah, Dave Chappelle. He cracks me up.
Okay. Question 17. Do you have any hobbies outside the sport of boxing?
No, I'd just say boxing, really. I love boxing. And unless I'm welding at work or something, because I do love welding, but
okay.
Just boxing.
All right, question 18. Do you have any boxing superstitions?
What do you mean?
Well, as far as a lot of fighters, like they have a certain routine that they have to do before a fight, or they have to put on a certain wrap or a glove. They have to wear certain shorts, certain socks, whatever for each fight, things like that. Eat a certain meal before a certain fight.
I I don't know if it's a superstition or not. I didn't do it all like when I was an amateur or anything, but my mom got sick when I was in high school and she passed away when I was 19. She didn't get to see me graduate. So anytime after that, anytime I fight, I always think about my mom and try to talk to her.
Okay. All right, question 19. What is your favorite boxing movie?
I don't think anyone's going to know this actually. So I believe it's called Gladiator.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, it's Gladiator. The one that's like, it's kind of like underground boxing. And like the kid comes from like nothing. His dad's like a gambler and like fucking can't fighting and like.
The white fighter and the black fighter. And they're friends, right?
Yeah, they end up being really good friends. And then he ends up having to fight him at the end, which sucked. But it was a good movie. I love that movie. I think that movie is definitely slept on.
Yep. I actually have a copy of that movie.
Do you? Oh, yes. Man. I'm going to have to find a copy of that movie because I try to look it up to watch it. And, like, if it's not on regular TV, I got to pay, like, $50 to rent this fucking thing.
I bet you can find a copy of it on eBay.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about eBay. That's smart.
But all right, question 20. What is the craziest or the funniest story that ever happened between you and a boxing fan?
So I got out of the so I fought at the Mosleys. I think it was my 9th pro fight, and I got out of the ring, and this place was sold wall to wall. You could not move. I packed this place, and people were going nuts. Like, it had to have been the loudest I've ever heard fans for me. And I ended up knocking this guy out in the 6th round. He came in overweight. Dude was jacked. He was tall. He could punch. He could box. I think his name was Isaiah Hart. He was 6-1. In his previous fight, he just knocked a dude out in like 12 seconds. So it was a big like fight for me, you know. And I ended up clipping him in the 6th round. He went down and just could not get up. And the fans went nuts. And as I'm swinging out of the ropes to come out of the ring, and I like put my hands up, I'm like getting the fans going, I get a fucking pillow thrown at me, and it hits me in the face, and I catch it. And I look at the pillow, and the pillow is one of the 2 T-shirts they used to make it. It says Frank the Tank on it, and they used my T-shirts. That's what they bought my shirts for. So that was pretty cool. I still have the pillow today. I sleep with it.
Nice. That's pretty cool, man. And the fact that you kept it is even cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. I'll never get rid of
that. So shout out to whoever threw the pillow at him.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time to come on and do the random 20 questions. If you got any sponsors to give a shout out to, or you want to say something to the fans or promote the Combat League one more time, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out Olympic Auto Shine, Boneheads Barbershop, Road Plates. I'd like to shout out Gary and Robbie. They helped me a lot coming through right now where I'm at. I live on my own, well, with Gary and Robbie and Gary's son, the owner of Road Plates. And I don't know, life's been tough the last couple of years, but I'm getting through it. I just bought a brand new truck this past September, so everything's on the up for me right now. I'd like to shout out Keen Roofing. He helps me out a lot. I'd like to shout out why can't I think of the restaurant? Cedar Cafe. They're very big supporters of me. We go out to eat a lot together. They're like family to me, actually. I'd like to shout out my girlfriend and my trainers for keeping me on track and making sure I'm staying in the gym and stuff and I'm not slacking. Home and in the gym, you know. So yeah, and I'd like to give myself a shout out for all the hard work I put in. Everyone go follow me on Instagram and Facebook and everything. It's Francis, FRANCIS _ Hogan, HOGAN _ I got to build that Instagram back up. I took a big hit. I had like 17,000 followers. Now I'm at like not even 1,500 yet. So I gotta start pushing that.
All right. Anything you want to say to the fans?
I'd like to say it's tank time. I just left the gym actually right before I got on here. There are no days off for me unless I need a rest day. It's Easter. Hope everyone has a great Easter. Yeah, it's tank time. Frank the Tank Hogan. I'll keep everybody updated from when I'm fighting again. Right now I'm doing the Team Combat League. That's April 11th in Revere, Mass. So if you're in the area, go on my profile, click the link, use code Hogan. You can get tickets, or you can subscribe to it, and you can pay to get the viewing, so you can watch it online or on TV or whatever you got. So everybody, stay safe. Love all my fans. Thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it. And again, it's tank time.
Yeah, but you're saying that pretty nice now, tank time. That's not how you usually say it.
No, usually I'm in the ring and I'm like, it's fucking tank time, and I go ape shit. So that's
how Frank the Tank says it. Let's go. It's fucking tank time.
That is usually how I say it.
All right, say it one more time for the fans.
Listen, it's fucking tank time out here. Let's go. Frank the Tank in the building. Everybody have a good day. Happy Easter.
All right, and with that, hold on, and the truth has spoken.